So last time we talked, Autumn Kealoha, the heir of my legacy challenge, entered the third trimester of her pregnancy, experiencing sudden pain and bleeding, rushing over to the hospital, ultimately miscarrying her and her wife Shanna Kealoha's unborn child. This is just devastating. I totally wasn't making jokes about this on Twitter. It seems like nothing can go right for our heir, who was devastated to learn that her baby had died. She found her wife Shanna in her witchy room, breaking the news to her, of course. Shanna was heartbroken. The both of them were so excited to meet their first child. And Autumn had truly convinced herself that, despite her infertility, she would still be able to experience a pregnancy of her own thanks to science. Guess she was wrong. It looked like adoption would be the route her family would be taking. Autumn and Shanna placed the urn of their late son, River Kealoha, out on the deck, and let themselves have a moment to grieve with one another. Losing her brother Jacob was hard, but she had never felt any pain like losing a child. She'll always be left with questions. What River would have looked like when he smiled. What he would have sounded like when he laughed. Her and Shanna would never know their son, and it pained her that they were going to have to live with that. But at the very least, they have each other. This wasn't the end, and they wouldn't be giving up. They were going to have a baby and grow a family together, no matter what it takes. But man, was it going to suck to have to tell the Volkoffs about baby River's passing. But hey, at least Autumn's sage bush evolved to meager quality. Autumn and Shanna both wanted to be left alone to really process the death of their son. Shanna cried upstairs in her bed before heading back downstairs to distract herself with potion making, while Autumn spent all day mindlessly tending to her garden. Nicole, on the other hand, was going to visit her fiancé. Nicole had been hating her life lately, always feeling stressed out or on the edge, and her werewolf temperaments certainly weren't helping her cause. But the one thing that helped soothe her was having her fiancé Caleb next to her. She was so excited to become his wife and for the two of them to create a life together. She had so much she wanted to do with him and show him, and she was so deeply in love with him, despite part of her brain telling her it was too soon. Since Caleb is much older and more experienced than her, she figured she would rant to him about how she's been feeling lately. Maybe he'd have some good elder man trapped in a young adult's body advice. She didn't know if it was her werewolfism or just her, but lately, she felt like she was on the edge of exploding. She's always tense or angry, and she didn't want this to affect their relationship once they get married. Caleb mentioned something that piqued Nicole's interest. He mentioned how he rarely gets upset anymore since becoming a vampire, because vampires, once skilled enough, can turn off their emotions partially or entirely. Nicole had no idea that was possible. In fact, she didn't know much about vampire powers, so Caleb told her about them. Influencing the emotions of others, not needing to socialize, and the obvious one, not aging. Nicole found it all very intriguing. She was definitely going to do some research of her own. But they cut their conversation short to participate in some wicked activities instead. Perhaps the way he's making Nicole scream with his ice rod is a vampire power up too. Back at home, Alexis was in a tense mood. Again, probably thinking about how she's going to turn into dust soon. At least we had a good 2 Sims days of her being happy. Though the rocket did help with that. Nothing quite like hitting something with a hammer. And Autumn was still tending to her plants and wandering aimlessly around Moonwood Mill. Gardening is her go-to distraction, but it wasn't helping. The pain hit too hard. She figured since she doesn't have a child to take care of now that she would get herself a job. Getting a job for the first time when you're almost an adult. Oh, Autumn, LMAO. She decided to become a freelancer under the Simply Crafted agency, specializing in the fabrication, candle making, and beer brewing skills. It seemed like a profession that would be up her alley. I feel like it's been a minute since we've seen one of the Volkoffs rampage. I definitely do not miss Edward. Autumn was so devastated and exhausted from the death of her baby boy River that she ended up fainting outside of the house. Our poor girl. And Alexis has been diagnosed with eczema. She's so old. Alexis, I don't think coating yourself in saliva will help soothe your eczema. She went back to building her rocket while Autumn selected a freelancer gig and tried candle making for the first time. Shanna, on the other hand, who was studying her third tome of the day, was feeling a bit more optimistic than her wife and had made a decision for the both of them. She hated seeing how much their son's passing broke Autumn. She hated knowing that right in the next room, on the other side of this gigantic meat wall, her wife was rocking on the rocking chair all by her lonesome, or how she heard her crying in the bathroom earlier, attempting to cheer herself up. She wanted to make Autumn happy, and they both wanted to have a baby more than anything. So, Shanna decided she would suck it up and give pregnancy a try. Even though she was 100% positive she was going to hate it, Autumn didn't want to pressure Shanna into doing something she didn't truly want to do. But Shanna did want a child with Autumn, even if it was just once, and, who knows, maybe feeling life form inside her will change her mind. Autumn said yes to Shanna's proposal. So, it was settled. Shanna would be going to the hospital to become impregnated with the science baby. But the moment Shanna left was when Autumn was flooded with a feeling that was all too familiar.